Okay, let's get into this. We're doing a deep dive on, I think it's fair to say, the most explosive and frankly disturbing rap feud of the modern era, the 2024 showdown between Drake and Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, and this was never just about who could rap better. It wasn't just a battle. What happened over like a 3-week period in 2024 was it was a whole new level of escalation. The allegations went so much darker. We're talking pedophilia, domestic abuse, hidden children. I mean, it was a nuclear option.
And it wasn't just the lyrics. The technology itself became a character in this whole thing. So this deep dive isn't just a history lesson. It's really an investigation into how real-time releases, social media, and this is the big one, AI deepfakes completely changed the game.
Exactly. So for you, our mission today is kind of threefold. First, we're going to track the history, because this goes back way further than just one spring. Second, we'll dissect those diss tracks, which came out lightning fast, and look at the shocking role AI played. And then finally, we'll try to determine who actually won, commercially and critically, and what this whole thing really says about hip-hop as, a massive monetized product.
Right. And what's so interesting is that it didn't start with bad blood at all. It actually started with mutual respect way back in 2011.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
When they first linked up, Drake was already a superstar. He was the face of the genre. And Kendrick Lamar was this acclaimed new voice from the West Coast. So their initial relationship was really positive.
They didn't just meet, they collaborated on something pretty monumental. Lamar did the Buried Alive interlude on Drake's 2011 album, Take Care.
And if you listen to that track now, it's incredible foreshadowing for the whole rivalry. Lamar basically used that interlude to talk about his complex feelings about celebrity, about luxury. After seeing Drake's world up close, he was sort of expressing both a desire for that success and a real fear of what it would cost him.
So the core conflict was kind of baked in from their very first track together. You had Drake celebrating the spoils of victory and Lamar with this moral critique of fame. But they stayed on good terms for a bit longer, right?
They did, yeah. Lamar opened for Drake's Club Paradise tour in early 2012, and he was featured on Lamar's own hit, Poetic Justice. So things were amicable, on the surface at least.
But then came the moment that I think shattered the peace. August 2013. Big Sean's Track Control. That voice is still legendary.
It was a declaration of war. It really was.
Yeah.
Lamar dropped a verse that called out Drake by name and like a dozen other rappers. He declared himself the king of New York and the king of the coast. It was just designed to completely disrupt everything.
I remember Drake's public reaction was surprisingly cool, almost dismissive, like he was trying to brush it off.
He totally did. He told Billboard it was just an ambitious thought. And he said, and this is a great quote, "I know good and well that he's not murdering me at all in any platform. He just refused to give it any oxygen."
But it kept simmering. Later that year at the BET Hip Hop Awards cypher, Lamar sort of fired back, right? He had that sneaky line about tucking a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes.
Exactly. So the dismissal didn't work. The gauntlet had been thrown. Drake later admitted he felt like he was being baited into a fight he didn't want. And even though he said Lamar was a fucking genius, you could tell the dynamic had shifted for good. They were opponents now.
And for almost a decade after that, this is like 2015 to 2022, the whole thing goes into what people called the Cold War era. Lots of subtle shots, sneak disses, but no, direct confrontation.
The rivalry was so big in the culture that even external figures got pulled in. My favorite detail from that time is when President Barack Obama in 2016 was asked who'd win in a rap battle. And he chose Lamar.
And Drake's response to that was just so Drake. He dissed Obama on Summer 16. He rapped, "Tell Obama that my verses are just like the whips that he in the thing. They bulletproof." Imagine being the former president and getting dissed over a hypothetical rap battle. That just shows you how deep this thing ran.
It does. It demonstrated that even in silence, the rivalry was still there. But that silence was broken dramatically in 2024.
Okay, let's jump into the 2024 chaos. What was the spark that turned this Cold War nuclear?
The catalyst was in October 2023. J. Cole put himself, Drake, and Lamar in the big three of modern hip-hop on Drake's song First Person Shooter. He was basically trying to frame them as equals on a throne together.
And Kendrick, with one verse, just torpedoed that whole idea.
Oh, completely. His verse in March 2024 on Future and Metro Boomin's Like That was brutal. He just said, "Motherfruit, the big three, and it's just big me." He immediately set himself apart. J. Cole, to his credit, kind of realized what was happening. He dropped a diss, 7-minute drill, then apologized and removed it. He knew Kendrick wasn't aiming for him.
Right. But Drake didn't back down. He came right back with push-ups in April. What was the strategy there?
Push-ups was classic Drake. He was mocking, trying to shrink his opponent, so he mocked Lamar's height, referencing size 7 men's on, and he criticized him for working with pop artists like Taylor Swift, trying to paint him as, a sellout.
But the very next track, Taylor made Freestyle. That's where this whole battle enters a completely new era.
Yeah, that was an unprecedented move. He used AI to generate vocals of Tupac Shakur and Snoop Dogg to taunt Lamar. I mean, the irony of using Tupac's voice, a symbol of authenticity, to criticize Kendrick. It was pretty thick.
And that led to immediate legal pushback, right?
Yeah.
You can't just do that.
Nope. Tupac's estate threatened legal action immediately. They called it a flagrant violation. And that threat was serious enough that Drake had to pull the track from everywhere. It was a huge moment. It brought AI and consent right into the middle of a rap battle.
So after Drake's tech misstep, the lyrics just got dark, fast. Lamar's Euphoria went right for Drake's credibility, his whole identity.
That was the shift to the deeply personal. Lamar asked that damning question. How many more black features till you finally feel you're black enough? It hit Drake on a foundational level.
And that was followed by 6.16 in LA, which had this, creeping sense of paranoia to it.
It really did. 6.16 in LA wasn't just a diss. It hinted that Lamar had sources.
Moles.
Moles, exactly. Inside Drake's own organization, OVO. And the craziest part? That track was produced by Jack Antonoff,
Taylor Swift's guy.
the main Taylor Swift collaborator.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant, subtle jab at Drake's earlier criticism.
So Drake retaliates on May 3rd with Family Matters. And he gets just as vicious, accusing Lamar of domestic abuse, infidelity, and then that explosive claim that Lamar's kid was actually fathered by his creative partner.
That was Drake trying to match the energy, but Lamar's counter was almost instant. I mean, it showed how organized this whole thing was. Less than an hour later, Lamar drops Meet the Grams.
An hour? That's almost impossible. It completely changed the dynamic. It made Drake's track sound old news the second it came out.
It was a checkmate. Meet the Grams was.
Yeah.
It was haunting. It was dark, almost horrorcore. And it was formatted like a letter to Drake's son, his parents, and this alleged secret daughter he was accused of hiding.
But the allegations in that track went way beyond personal drama. This was like potential criminal stuff. Lamar accused Drake of being a sexual predator, a liar, and running a sex trafficking ring out of his Toronto mansion.
And the cover art, at least initially, had these pictures of alleged prescription bottles, Ozempic, Adderall, with Drake's real name, Aubrey Graham, on them. It was designed to make it all feel terrifyingly real.
And then the very next day, May 4th, he delivers what most people call the knockout blow. Not Like Us.
Not Like Us was a different animal. It was
Yeah.
an anthem, a West Coast party track you could play anywhere, but the lyrics were just devastating. He called Drake and his crew certified pedophiles with that line, train to strike a chord and it's probably A minor, just brutal wordplay. And he also called Drake a colonizer for profiting off Atlanta's rap scene.
Drake had to respond, but at that point, the narrative was pretty much set. His last track was The Heart Part 6. What was his angle there?
He tried a really clever twist.
Yeah.
He claimed he'd intentionally fed Lamar false information about the secret daughter. Basically, he was trying to say, I tricked you into spreading lies to show how desperate you are.
Did it work? Did anyone buy it?
It's too late. The sheer speed and severity of Kendrick's tracks had already won in the court of public opinion. Drake's explanation just sounded defensive.
Okay, before we get to the winner, we have to talk more about the technology here. The AI deepfakes. That has massive implications for the whole music industry.
Oh, absolutely. The fact that Drake used AI vocals of a dead artist just opened up this huge legal and ethical debate. And as we said, the quick threat from Tupac's estate showed how urgent this issue is. We're talking about regulating, digital resurrection.
And this wasn't the first time an AI track caused confusion in this beef, right?
No. Before Drake's track, a deepfake called One Shot, supposedly by Kendrick, was floating around online. People were genuinely confused if it was real or not. It just shows how sophisticated this stuff is getting. You literally don't know who you're listening to anymore.
So are there any groups trying to create, guidelines for this?
Yes, there are. Organizations like the Partnership on AI, or PAI, are pushing for frameworks. They basically advise creators on consent and being transparent when you use AI. The main idea is, if not telling people it's AI could change how they see the content, you have to disclose it.
And we're already seeing this turn into actual laws.
We are. The Elvis Act in Tennessee is a perfect example. Lawmakers are moving to ban the unauthorized use of AI to mimic an artist's voice. So this feud didn't just rattle hip-hop. It went all the way to intellectual property law.
Wow. Okay, so let's pivot back to the battle itself. The streaming platforms definitely won, but one of these artists came out as the clear victor.
If you look at the raw numbers, the sources are unanimous. Kendrick Lamar was the decisive victor. His tracks, Not Like Us and Euphoria, peaked way higher on the Billboard charts, #1 and #3. Drake's main diss, Family Matters, only got to #7.
That's a huge difference. It shows Kendrick's tracks crossed over to a much bigger audience.
For sure. And on Spotify, Not Like Us and Like That individually outstreamed all of Drake's main disses combined. And that led to a crazy jump in his popularity. His monthly listeners on Spotify shot up from 52 million to over 77 million.
And the cultural victory was sealed at that pop-out concert in June 2024. That was a real mic drop moment.
It was more than a concert. It was a coronation. He performed Not Like Us 5 times to close the show. And he had LA street gang members on stage with him, cementing it as a true anthem for the city. Then the music video came out with stars like DeMar DeRozan and Serena Williams doing the Crip Walk. It was a knockout punch.
And then the Grammys just confirmed what everyone already knew.
Yep, Not Like Us swept the awards.
Yeah.
5 wins, including Song of the Year and Record of the Year, and then he performed the songs at the Super Bowl halftime show. The victory lap was complete.
So what does all this mean for the culture that hosted this fight? You said it became a commodity.
Yeah, a lot of commentators said it just became a miserable spectacle. It profited the streaming platforms, the media outlets, everyone except maybe the art form itself. The main critique is that it turned Black culture and identity into, clickable, monetized drama.
And there was a lot of hypocrisy pointed out on both sides, especially around the domestic violence accusations.
That's a critical point. While Lamar was making these accusations, Drake was shouting out Chris Brown in his track. And on the other side, people pointed out that Lamar featured Kodak Black on his last album, an artist with his own criminal history. So both of them were kind of weaponizing morality while ignoring their own past associations.
But the final verdict on all this didn't come from the Grammys. It came from the legal system.
That's right. In January 2025, Drake actually sued his own label, UMG. He alleged they used illegal tactics to boost streams for Not Like Us, and he also sued for defamation.
Wait, suing his own label, what was the judge's response to that?
The judge threw the lawsuit out in October 2025. And this part is key for the future of this stuff. The ruling found that all the song's accusations, even the most serious ones, were protected as figurative and hyperbolic language.
So the judge said it's just a heated rap battle, and so the lyrics aren't legally libel or slander.
Precisely. That ruling basically confirmed that in the eyes of the law, a diss track is just opinion and entertainment. It's not fact. It kind of stripped the real-world weight away from the whole thing.
So this deep dive has tracked the long, complex history of this beef, the shocking speed of it all, and the huge role that AI played. We saw Lamar crown the clear winner streams, Grammys, cultural impact.
But the big takeaway is a bit heavier. The feud showed how easily hip-hop, a genre born from resistance, can be turned into this perfectly marketed, consumable product.
Yeah.
And the legal system's final word was that the whole thing was basically just theater.
So here's the final thought we want to leave you with. If the legal system has essentially codified that this kind of high-stakes, deeply personal conflict is just non-verifiable performance, does this level of rap beef still have any real artistic weight? Or has it just become another profitable content cycle, guaranteed to boost streams and win awards? Something to think about until our next deep dive.